This video brought to you by our Patreons. Please consider supporting this channel and joining our Patreons at patreon.com/NovaWing24. Hi there folks, my name's NovaWing24 and welcome to a little bit of a prepared tutorial. So today we're having a look at a particularly cool feature that was actually introduced into Prepared v3, but was not very well talked about and not very well used. It's used a little bit more in Prepared v4, but it's something that I think is unfortunately missed by a lot of add-on developers, but also more importantly is missed by us, the community, because it's actually a really simple, well, okay, simple concept, but probably sometimes can be a challenging execution, hence why I'm making the tutorial video today. But it's a really elegant way to help us maintain and manage our various add-ons and our downloadable content for our flight sim. So what I'm talking about, of course, is probably the easiest way to show you is, of course, in this little folder that you've probably seen here, which is the Prepared v4 or Prepared v3 Add-Ons folder. So what is this add-on folder? So to put it quite simply, so probably the best way to talk about it is, and I'll actually bring up another window so we can actually sort of compare what it looks like here. So traditionally, whether it be Flight Simulator X, whether it be Prepared v1, 2, or unfortunately many developers still with v3 and v4, the installation of add-on content is, shall we say, rather brute force, where what it will actually do is that it will actually install it into, like, it'll actually sort of brute force it into your main sim directory. Now what that basically means is that it brute forces the install into your simulator's like home native folder. So in my case, for example, I have Prepared v4, Prepared v2, v3, v4, etc, etc, etc. It'll actually brute force the install of the content into your Sim's prime directory. So whether that be scenery, whether it be add-on aircraft, add-on ships, whatever, it'll brute force into the now. So for example, let me just go into navigate to our sim objects here, and we'll go into our traditional sort of airplanes folder. So we can see here that, for example, very clearly I've got Alabao content, I've got Carinado content, I've got FlySimware, I've got, actually no, the Raptor driver comes with Prepared, the Iris Texan is different. Older Just Flight products. So yeah, they actually, and Milviz, this is the, by the way, this is the current Milviz content available via Orbix, and it still brute forces in here, which I'm actually very disappointed in. Anyway, so yeah, it brute forces it and installs it into your core sim. Now, why is that a problem? So, well, fundamentally, it's kind of not. It's not a problem. Where it becomes a problem is when you're trying to uninstall, or when you're trying to troubleshoot your simulator, or, for example, when Prepared does a major update or a hotfix, you then have to sort of back stuff out, put stuff back in, and sometimes your content can get corrupted, or some uninstallers for some add-on aircraft, particularly I'm not going to point any fingers, some add-on developers, when they do an uninstall file, it's a bit aggressive, and not only does it take out like the aircraft, for example, it will take out effects files, light files, other config files that are, or other scenery files that are essential to having your sim keep functioning as you expect. So it's really important that we sort of talk about ways that we can actually sort of do this. And as I said, Prepared for this way of what we're going to be talking through today is using this Prepared sort of add-ons folder. This was actually pioneered in Prepared v3, but it was in the SDK. It was talked about, but very few. In fact, there's only one developer that I actually know of that actually did it for Prepared v3, and that was Ants Airplanes. He was the only developer I know of that actually did it. That's in a retail setting. So it was really interesting. So I really want to talk about this because this is something that I do, because it means that when I do have to do a prepared core sim update, I can separate everything from it. So you keep your sim separate from your add-on materials. It also means that you can turn add-ons on and off. So if you're trying to troubleshoot, so for example, one of the things that I see a lot in forums is we see the notification of, hey, I've got this add-on or this selection of add-ons, and then suddenly my sim's no longer responding correctly, or it's got no content, or its frame rates have gone to rubbish or something like that. And then it's trying to, okay, troubleshoot what exactly did you do that caused that. So this is a good way to actually, you can turn add-ons on and off inside of Prepar to actually sort of help you figure stuff out like that. So yeah, okay. So as I said, I want to run it through with you guys today to show you what's possible and how to do this. So what we're going to do, now as I said, some developers, such as JustFlight, have actually really sort of pick this up and actually doing it themselves, where they actually, so you can see in my Prepar v4 add-ons folder here, it actually sort of, they've actually got all the content here. It installs natively, so we don't have to do this manual step we're talking about today. Other developers, you do have to do this, or a lot of freeware out there, or for example, if you've got content that you're not sure whether it's compatible with Prepar v4 or not, or it might only be partially compatible, this is a good way to sort of isolate it so it doesn't affect your core sim. You can turn it on and off as required. This not only does this work for aircraft, it also works for gauges, for scenery, for a lot of stuff. So for example, you can see here that we've got the RFN, so the Royal French Navy, their carrier gauge. I've actually sort of put that in this way, so you can actually, so it is, and it isolates here, and we'll teach you how to do all of this stuff today. It also works, as I said, for scenery, just what Traffic Google does as well. A lot of stuff on here as well. So, right, cool. Now, let's get on with this. As I said, we're going to be doing two examples today. So the first one's going to be one where this is a where it's a manual unpack and a manual install. So something like a piece of add-on scenery or an aircraft, where you can actually sort of where you see it comes just as a zip file, and you've got to sort of, you're supposed to unzip it inside your Sim's root directory. We're also going to go through and show an example of one that's got an installer. So let's start with one that's got an installer. So for that one, what we're going to do is we're going to be bringing up an aircraft that I recently just discovered, and I haven't tried it yet, so this should be interesting. So it's actually one of my favorite. It's actually an aircraft that I'm really fascinated with. I've got a strong personal connection with, and I really have been looking forward to installing this and actually trying out. So I get to do a bit of an install here. Look for the review coming on my channel soon. And that is the Government Aircraft Factory Nomad, which was, for those who may not know, was a high wing, short takeoff landing transport and patrol aircraft built in Australia, designed and built in Australia. It had a lot of issues, generally mostly related to the power plant choice. They decided to basically use a helicopter engine instead of Pratt & Whitney PT6s. So they used an Allison, and it was essentially an underpowered aircraft. Otherwise, it could have been a huge success. But anyway, moving on. So what this is, I've downloaded this from Riku. So Riku comes with the installer. So I'm going to go through the process here of what my suggested process is. Now, a couple of things to set up before we get started. So obviously we've downloaded our file here. Now, the other thing that I do, and I always recommend doing this even for even if you're not following this process, is actually setting up a temporary folder for your content. I'm just going to hide a couple things here because you guys don't need to know all that stuff. Alright, so this one is what I call, so I've got a temp directory. Now in this temp directory, I basically just put in a series of folders that I'm probably going to need. So things like add-on scenery, fonts, gauges, scenery. A lot of these I let installers create, and just so I reference them in the future. So in some objects I've got airplanes and stuff like that. Now, why is this directory important? So this directory allows us to actually get the structure. Essentially, this emulates your Sim's root directory. So the reason why you want to do this is that some of the old brute force installers, if you try and just install them just to a blank directory, it goes, I can't find the Sim. So what you can do, you can actually sort of create a ghost Sim in there. So for example here, all this file, I'll show you how to quickly create this. So all you do is we go create new, so just text document. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to call this prepared .exe, and it pop a little warning saying if you change the file name description, the file became unusable. Yeah, that's fine, because we're not actually going to be running this application. It's just there as a file name for it to see. Okay, all right, let's get on with actually installing this today. So we're going to install here, so we're going to go the GAF Nomads, the GAF Nomad. So we're going to run the installer. Okay, so we're going to let's go in English because I don't speak French at the moment. I really want to learn, by the way, at some point in the future. Okay, so it's gone through, so it's all good. Okay, so we go yes, we do the usual, agree to terms and conditions. Done. Okay, so now in terms of this one, you want to choose things like custom installation directory. Okay, so what you want to do here is we want to go to our temporary directory. We want to copy, so Control C, or sort of copy the path there. Then we go here and we paste the path. Done. Okay, and we're going to be, this is going to be for prepared v4. We're doing this example for today. So we go install, and it'll go through and install everything that we need to do. Okay, done. Yay, finish. All right, so what has actually gone in here? So we can go through and have a look. So the main one I'm guessing would be in SimObjects Airplanes. Yep, there it is, Nomad 22B. Yay, cool, awesome. Now, good thing to check things like did anything go in the gauges folder? Nothing went in the gauges folder. So it doesn't look like it installs anything other than the SimObject directory. Yeah, that stuff I already had. Yep, we're good to go. So all we need to worry about is SimObjects, Airplanes, and Nomad 22B. Excellent, awesome. So this is actually going to be even simpler than I thought. So this is going to be kind of simple, kind of cool. Alright, so next step from here, now I'm going to keep this simple, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to here to our prepared v4 add-ons folder. Okay, so this is located in your My Documents. Okay, so it's My Documents, prepared, space, prepared version number, and add-ons. If this folder doesn't exist yet for you, that's fine, you can create it, no problem at all. I'll put a link to an example one of the XML files we're going to use shortly in the description for this video, so if you guys want to grab it, you can. But as I said, if this folder doesn't create it, just make sure you create it exactly as it appears, as it's written here. Okay. Alright, so we jump into this one. Now, first step we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create a new folder for this one. So we go new folder, and I'm going to call this one the GAF. So what it is, so it's the GAF Nomad. Cool, awesome. Now I'm going to open up. I'm going to open up this window here because this is always a good way to do this. Actually, no, I won't. What I'll do, before I go into the Nomad one, I'm going to open up my text editor, because you're going to need a text editor. That's the other important tool to have as part of this one. So I'm going to go here, and we're going to go to, here's one I created earlier, funnily enough. So we're going to see this where it says add-on XML, so make sure, or if you're creating a new one from scratch, make sure you use add-on.xml. Alright, okay. So I'm going to go back here, and we're going to go to GAF Nomad folder. Alright. So the first folder, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new folder here that's called SimObjects. So, for example, if this had installed sounds or gauges, we'd also create like a sounds folder or a gauges folder as well, but just want a top-level SimObjects folder. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. You do not need to go airplanes, rotorcraft, boats, or anything like that. You just need SimObjects. That's all you need. So we're going to take our Nomad 22B, we're going to copy that. So we're going to copy, she will be do it on the screen for you. We go into SimObjects and we go paste. Okay, all done. Nice and simple. Alright, so what we can actually do now is we can actually uninstall this. And you know what? I'm actually going to do that. Let's do that. So let's go to apps. Okay, GAF Nomad, and we're going to uninstall. Yes, done. So we can see that's already gone. Yay, cool, done, easy. So that's I said that's actually really cool because it said it helps demonstrate this video once we get there. All right. So we're in our Prepared v4 add-ons folder, so I can close that temp folder there at the moment, so don't need that anymore, or for now. And now we're going to go back up to our GAF Nomad folder. Alright, so we're going to go new text document, and we're going to go add-on.xml. Okay, and then we're going to drag it over here and we're going to open up in our text editor. Okay, so basically we're just going to copy paste from this exemplar one. Okay, alright, first couple of things to note here, so we're going to close that exemplar one now. Alright, so add-on name. So this add-on name is how it is the easy name or easy visual name to see it when the list of add-on content inside of Prepared. So we're going to call this one GAF Nomad. Cool. Description is pretty much whatever you want. So we're going to use this Riku Freeware GAF Nomad. Cool. Alright, add-on components, category, sim objects, path, sim objects. Okay, so let me just explain what this means. So there is a series of different categories you can have. Actually, what I'm going to do, let me show you a little bit a more complex one. As I said, it is actually that simple, especially when there's only one folder. So when it's category, it is that path is simply, so we've got GAF Nomad. So basically, the path is the next folder from wherever addon.xml is currently sitting. Okay, that's it. So it's next folder, and that's why you don't have to go down one level. Alright, let me show you one that's slightly more complex. Let's go to, actually, yeah, let me show you this one. Okay, so for example, so Iris Simulations is a developer that has at least their older stuff. It again brute forces. So I actually have it installed on a different folder. So I have it in the path that is on F drive Iris content. That's where I have all the content, and it has effects, sim objects, sound, fonts, scenery, DLLs. So this is just some of the stuff that you can have in here. Basically, any folder that can appear in the Prepared native installation or an ESP native installation can be referenced as a category here, and then you just define the path. It said if it's not in the direct folder that you're using inside of the documents, you do have to specify a path. So because I'm actually using it on a completely separate hard drive from where my Documents folder is, I'm having to put the full path in. Notice there's no last slash there. That's just simply how it's set up. Okay. Right, okay, and close that one. So, but otherwise, that's pretty much it. So, to see if that's successful or not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that and close. And just to be sure, we're now going to navigate back and go to GAF Nomad. So we've got, just a reminder again, so we're going to go Prepared v4 add-ons, GAF Nomad. We've got sim objects, which has our Nomad 22B and all the documentations in there. Yay. And then we have our addon.xml. Cool. And just to be sure, let's pull that one up and open it up. And that's it. Cool. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is let's fire up Prepared and let's have a look and see if it actually loads. So the first thing that you'll see is as you're launching Prepared, you'll see this pop-up will come up, which will ask you, do you wish to enable add-on GAF Nomad? Essentially what's happening there is that every time Prepared launches is that it scans the My Documents / Prepared v4 add-ons folder, and it looks for, is there anything new? And if there is anything new, what it will do is it'll throw this thing asking, do you wish to enable it or not? So we're going to enable it, so we're going to say yes, and then later on what we can do is we can actually then, and I'll also show you guys how to disable it if you want to as well. Alright, so let's keep loading. So now we're all loaded in. Pretty simple check. We jump into the change vehicle, and theoretically, if we search Nomad, there we go. There it is. It appears there. And we've got should have R3 there. One. Of course, the one that I'm most familiar with, the RFDS one. And this one here, not sure where that one comes from. Probably should read the documentation. But yes, there you go. So yes, that is literally as simple as it gets. Like, it is that simple, and it's a very elegant, very simple system. It does have that, it can be prone to errors, particularly like the hardest thing I had was working out is that with the XML, with the fact that you don't have to go like do a subfolder from sim objects, it's just sim objects and just put them all in there. Let me actually just give you an example of that. Oh, wrong window, 1 second. One of these things is not like the other. There we are. Let me go to, as I said, I do this a lot. So India Fox Techo, so he's got I've got sim objects, and through there I've got all of his different aircraft and also his avatar pack, so they're all there, and they also have the effects files for all of those aircraft. So that's it, pretty simple. And in terms of what the XML looks like for that one, as I said, it's effects, sim objects, because they're the two folders there. That's it. It's simple and done. As I said, this is a powerful, underestimated tool, and I just really wanted to show it off to you guys. Alright, so that's the first example using an installer, and where you actually sort of point it to its sort of a temporary directory, and then you create your own. So the next example we're going to go through, we're actually going to unzip files, and we're going to actually go through and going to create these directories from scratch. So what we're going to do, before I do that, see down here in Prepar3D V4, we've got the little add-ons button here. So what you can do is actually click that button, and this allows you then to see all of the add-ons that you have currently active from folders like that. So you can see that I actually have a couple disabled at the moment, and you can actually go through and you can turn some of these off. So for example, if we wanted to not remove, if we didn't want to remove the Nomad, but we didn't want it to actually load as part of our content, we could actually uncheck it here and then go again, this is where the description goes through, and we go OK. Alright, and what happens is that it actually, as the little pop-up just popping up just down there, it says changes require restart. So you do have to close the sim and restart the sim in order to change that. But I am going to leave that add-on enabled because I am going to give that a test flight later on. So there you go. Alright, so we're going to exit Prepared now. I'm going to go back and we're going to redo this process. We're going to do it from ground up, and we're going to do it for some AI traffic. So I had intended on doing this all in one video, but during editing I decided it was going to get a little long and a little in depth, so I decided to actually split it in 2 videos. So this is going to be the end of part 1, and come back very, very shortly for part 2, where we do go into that more detail of a bit more of a custom install, especially being able to spread your content across other multiple drives, or put it somewhere other than the My Documents folder. So look forward to seeing you guys all in part 2.